Part 1. The auction when my sister and I bought the mansion at the edge of Dry Hollow. The locals thought we were insane. The property had been abandoned for over 30 years. No one in the town would go near it. They said the walls whispered at night, that people who stepped inside came out. Different if they ever came out at all. But I didn't believe in ghost stories. Not back then. The mansion was massive, 4 stories, Victorian style, with a wraparound porch rotting beneath ivy and moss. It had belonged to the Langford family, an old line of recluses that vanished sometime in the 70s. The rumor was that they'd simply disappeared overnight, dinner still warm on the table. Police reports called it a missing person case. Locals called it cursed. It didn't matter. The bank was auctioning it off for $1.50. 000. My sister Claire and I broke and dreaming of flipping houses. Couldn't say no. It was our first and last mistake. Part 2. The first night, the house felt still. Not quiet. Still. There's a difference. Quiet is peaceful. Still is when the air presses in on you like the house is listening. Claire and I had set up air mattresses in the downstairs parlor. The electricity was barely functional, so we lit candles like idiots reenacting a seance. We laughed too loud and too long, brushing off the creaks and groans of the old place. As character, we tried to ignore the chill that didn't come from the autumn wind. At around 2:13 a.m., I woke up. Not from a noise, but from the absence of one. Total silence, unnatural, like the air itself had been vacuumed out. Claire was still asleep, but every candle in the room had gone out. And then I heard it, a whisper, faint, like paper scraping paper, coming from upstairs. It wasn't words, not at first, just the steady rhythm of breathing. Shallow, shaky, and definitely not mine. I thought maybe a raccoon had gotten in. I grabbed the flashlight and crept up the wooden staircase. Every step groaned, but that whispering God, that whispering, it got louder the higher I went. It didn't echo. It was close, intimate, like something behind the wallpaper was talking directly into my ear. When I reached the landing on the 2nd floor, it stopped, dead quiet. I shined my light down the hallway and saw something that still haunts me. The door at the end of the hall was open, but we'd locked every door upstairs before bed. And scrawled across the wall in jagged black charcoal were words I hadn't noticed before. IT knows your name. Part 3. Claire's dream the next morning. Claire looked like she hadn't slept at all. Did you hear anything last night? I asked, pouring her a cup of instant coffee. She stared into it like it held secrets. A woman, she whispered, crying in the walls. I stopped stirring. I dreamt she was in the mirror, Claire continued. Her eyes were sewn shut, but she still knew I was watching. She kept saying my name over and over, but not with her mouth. It was like the whole house was saying it. I didn't tell her about the whispering or the message on the wall, but when I went back upstairs, the writing was gone. Only a greasy smudge remained, like fingers had tried to wipe it away, or like the wall had swallowed the words back into itself. I should have packed up then, but by that point, the house had started to feel different. Warmer, almost inviting. It made you second guess your fear, made you want to stay. That's the trick, that's how it gets you. Part 4. The hidden room 2 days later. We found the door behind the bookshelf. It was Claire's idea to start cleaning out the second floor study. Dragging old tomes and furniture when one of the shelves shifted slightly just enough for the floor beneath it to creak. There was a seam in the wallpaper, thin but clear. Behind the shelf was a narrow wooden door, locked with an iron latch that looked hand-forged. I'm not opening that, Claire said, half joking. I already was. The door opened with a sound like dry bones snapping. Behind it, a steep staircase leading down into pitch-black darkness. But we're upstairs, I whispered. This leads down. We stood in silence, feeling that stillness return. Claire was pale. Let's not. We didn't go down. Not then. But from that moment on, we could hear it at night. A dragging sound beneath the floorboards, like someone or something was moving just below us. Pacing. Waiting. Part 5. The guest bedroom. Claire started sleepwalking. I found her standing in the guest bedroom at 3:33 a.m. every night. She'd just stand there, eyes wide open, staring at the wardrobe. I asked her what she was doing. She never answered. One night I followed her, phone camera rolling. She stood before the wardrobe like always, but then, without touching it, the doors creaked open. There was nothing inside until I reviewed the footage. There, in the frame, for exactly 0. 5 seconds was a face. No body, just a face staring out from the dark corner of the wardrobe. It had no eyes, no mouth, just skin stretched smooth like wax. But I swear it looked at me. I deleted the video, burned my phone. Claire never remembered any of it. Part 6. The woman in the wallpaper on the 7th day. Claire screamed so loudly the neighbors heard. She'd been scrubbing the hallway wallpaper when she uncovered something underneath a mural. It had been painted directly onto the wood panels before the wallpaper was ever applied. A woman, pale and slender, was sprawled across the entire hallway, arms raised, as if she were trying to claw her way out of the wall. Her mouth was open in a scream, and the artist had painted shadows in her eyes so deep it looked like they in childlike handwriting were the words, "She never left, Part 7. Downstairs again that night. Claire vanished." I woke up to the front door wide open, and her footprints barefoot, leading out into the cold morning mist. They stopped right at the base of the hidden staircase behind the bookshelf. I took the flashlight and went down. The air grew colder with every step. The walls were lined with faded photographs, hundreds of them, all of different families, some in color, most in black and white. All terrified, in the center of the basement was a circle of chairs, each one facing inward toward a large, antique mirror cracked across the middle. In every reflection, I saw myself standing alone, except one. In that one, Claire was behind me, her mouth sewn shut. I turned around, but there was no one there. Part 8. The house that remembers. I don't remember how I got out of the basement. 1 second, I was staring at that cracked mirror, at the version of myself that wasn't quite me. The next, I was lying on the parlor floor, hours later, nose bleeding, and every window in the house sealed shut. I tried calling the police. No signal. The landline was dead too. I knew then the house didn't want me to leave. Not until it was done. I found a journal tucked inside the fireplace chimney that night. A leather-bound book blackened with soot. The first page read, "This house feeds on memory." Inside were confessions, pages and pages written by different hands, different years people who had lived here before. Some names matched the photographs from the basement. Others didn't. But all of them told the same story. They came. They stayed. They forgot who they were. And the house remembered for them. One entry stood out, dated 1991. The house speaks only to the one who fears leaving most. That is the one it keeps. That is the one it becomes. I slammed the journal shut. Claire had been talking to the house. Part 9. The loop on the 9th day. Everything reset. I woke up on the floor of the parlor just like our first night. Candles lit. Air mattress inflated. Claire asleep beside me. Except it wasn't Claire. I leaned in, heart pounding. Her face was peaceful, too peaceful. When she opened her eyes, I knew they were the wrong color, not brown, black, glossy, reflective. She smiled at me. "Good morning," she said in my sister's voice. I stumbled back and ran to the front door. It wouldn't budge. None of the windows opened. Even the staircase had disappeared, like the house had changed its layout overnight. She followed me from room to room, humming an old lullaby. And then I saw the mural again, but this time, Claire's face had replaced Margaret Langford's. Her mouth open, her scream silent. I wasn't just trapped. I was being rewritten. Part whispers become words, the whispers came back on the 10th night, but now they were words. Don't leave her behind. She chose this. You will too. They came from the walls, the floors, the mirror in the bathroom. Every object had a voice now. I found Claire, what was left of her in the attic. She was still alive. Barely. Her limbs were tangled in roots growing from the beams. Her mouth stitched shut with red thread. Her eyes leaking black tears. But she looked at me, and in my head, I heard her voice clearly. Don't listen to it. Burn it down. I ran. I poured gasoline down the halls, on the wallpaper, on the books, even on the photographs of those lost souls in the basement. As I struck the match, the walls screamed, and then the house whispered, "You'll only forget again."